Everybody. It's another Tuesday, which means another episode of Pleasure Pulse. I'm your host, Roma Richardson, and you are tuned in on radio and on Facebook and YouTube. You won't be seeing me, but you'll be hearing us because, the last time I had audio only intentionally, well, more intentionally, was because I had a guest who wanted to remain anonymous, and it's the same tonight. And unlike last time, please don't meet me and ask me who the person was, because that defeats the purpose of being anonymous. So before we get into tonight's show, as usual, I'm going to take a short break so you can let everybody know that Pleasure Pulse is live. And then when we come back, we'll get into tonight's conversation, which, by the way, is about dating in St. Kitts Nevis. So stay tuned. Welcome back. You're tuned in to Pleasure Pulse, and I'm your host, Roma Richardson. And tonight, as I mentioned, we'll be talking about dating in St. Kitts Nevis, or dating in a small society, an extremely small society. So small, I feel like it's important to contextualize this smallness, because St. Kitts is so small that it doesn't even count as a community in other bigger countries, right? So imagine if you're dating within a community in St. Kitts. It's like, I can't imagine what the pool looks like. So tonight I'm joined by a guest who wanted to remain anonymous, and I will allow her to do a version of an introduction.
Okay, well, I would say I'm 30 years old. I'm recently single, partially healed, and fully outside.
fully outside this
Yeah.
summer.
Yes.
We ain't summer yet, but early outside. What to call it? Okay, fully
Outside on the
outside.
streets.
Okay, single like a Pringle and ready to mingle.
Yes. Yes.
But a cooler version of that, of course.
I guess.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining me on Pleasure Pulse, especially on short notice. The topics are so vast, and there's so many things that can be talked about when it comes to sex and sexuality and pleasure. And then I was like, I was just like, why not dating? And so I reached out to my guest and I was like, do you date? And then that, kind of inspired tonight's conversation. I hope that you enjoy it. So let's get into it. So tell me about your dating experience and what does dating mean to you? And then tell me about your dating experience.
Okay, my concept of what dating is like any activity that you do with someone who you're romantically interested in. Yeah. So it doesn't always have to be like, oh, take me out to dinner, let's go to movies. It could be maybe let's go for a car ride. Let's meet up at a beach. You want to come over and chill, drink, smoke a little weed. That could be a date.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. So I think key is it's an activity. So it's something that you plan, some kind of intentionality is in it. Even if it's just, hey, what you doing? Let's go on a car ride or whatever, or what you're doing in, at the end of the day after work or whatever. And also it's, somebody that you're romantically interested in. And the intention is to see if a relationship can develop sometimes.
And I think it's kind of important we stress on the romantically interested part because these are things you could maybe do with a friend. So it needs to kind of be clear that, hey, I'm interested in you, I'm feeling you, because, you don't want to be friend zoning people unintentionally. So, I would agree.
I hear that too. And I think it's also important to make clear if that's not your intention. So for example, if like let's say somebody approaches you and they ask you, hey, I think you're really beautiful, and I like your aura or your vibe.
Like that.
Would you like to go out with me? If it's somebody that you're like, yeah, I'm not attracted to them, I'm not interested in this person at all, like, I know that I will probably not, I don't feel that even interest for the person, I think it's important to be like, actually, maybe not, I'm interested in being friends, but I don't see you much like that. What do you think? Or do you think you should go on it, try it out, and then...
It depends. It depends. If it's like, you're not like physically into, okay, me, I'm somebody, physical attraction needs to be there. That's me. So if the physical attraction is not there, I really and truly just can't see myself dating somebody. I think I'm good at picking up on the cues if somebody is interested. So I kind of know how to, let them down.
But
softly.
You would let them down.
Right.
You wouldn't go on the date.
Right.
And
well, okay.
tell me.
Let's be real.
Tell me.
If somebody, you might have a Saturday, I'm bored home, and then somebody pop up, hey, you want to go to Ritual Sushi? You're not going to turn down a Ritual Sushi dinner. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, it sounds bad, but I would go. And to be honest, I think I'm a good, conversation. So I would just make sure, the conversation just doesn't go sexual. So we kind of stay on those, soft topics. But, yeah.
So how long would you let that go on for before telling them, that you're not romantically interested?
I have like a 2-date rule. So, the first date, I think you could
Feel it out.
feel it out. The second day, if they're not getting the hint that, okay, well, they're calling it a date, but the second meetup and they're not getting the hint that she's not interested, then definitely I would just start to pull back. I mean, ghosting people is a tactic of rejection.
And really unfortunate tactic. You ever been ghosted? Okay, let's define ghosting, because I don't even know if it's a Gen Z term or millennial term, but let's define it, because some people, especially if you're not online, chronically online, I feel like every episode of Pleasure Pulse, I'm like, I'm a chronically online person. Let's define ghosting. It's like what a ghost does. It disappears.
Yeah, so I guess you were showing romantic interest or interest in general in somebody, and then, as you say,
you disappear. And you disappear and disappear meaning you don't say anything, you don't have a conversation, you don't say, hey, I thought that, whatever, or I'm just not feeling this, like that, this isn't what I'm looking for, or anything. You just stop responding to the person's messages, you stop answering their calls, you just cut communication without explanation or anything. That's ghosting.
Honestly, I wouldn't say ghost. I don't think I'm a ghoster. I think I'm good at falling back. So I might withdraw a bit, but not fully disappear, fully ignore somebody. I think I would just maybe not be as responsive. But like, I've been on dates. Let's say you went on a date with somebody. You thought you liked that person, and then after the date you're like, no. Then I would just start, falling back. Yeah.
Like Homer Simpson in the
in the bushes. Just
okay.
Yeah.
Got you. I've been ghosted before. Sorry, what
How was that experience for you?
It was terrible. It was not good. It was, and when I said before, I don't even mean one. I'm so
okay, but like okay. I may not if you would consider this as ghosting. Like we, back for some people, maybe not me, but for some people.
You mean me?
We had our Tinder days, and you will hook up with somebody, and then you would just not respond to that person, and then you see them on hall, and you're like, hi, awkward wave, and you walk out. Is that like ghosting?
I wouldn't say so. I think ghosting requires there to be like some initiation or some reach out, some attempt from one party, and a refusal to respond from another party. But if it's like, a little awkward wave, hey, it's like, I think ideally everybody would communicate and say, okay, we met up, whatever reason, I'm not interested in continuing, or for me it was always going to be like a one night stand or whatever, because sometimes, and that's why I stress like the importance of communication here, because sometimes one person is going into something thinking, yeah, this is just a one night stand for me, and the other person is like, this is gonna be a forever night stand, so it's like one if there are those like mismatched expectations, I feel like there'll always be that awkwardness and feeling of disappearance from the other person. So sometimes it's useful to ask, and be like, hey, I thought we had something good, what happened? And then,
Well, how do you navigate those awkward conversations?
I feel like life is just full of awkward conversations, and the more you have them is the better you get at having them. And I think it's in general, what I tell people or what I ask of people around me is like kind and compassionate communication. And it's like, I'm a very sensitive person, right? So even though it might be hard to hear and hard to receive, at least I'll know. At least the person will be aware. So it's like, it's uncomfortable, I think, unless you are totally uncaring, mean, you know,
Okay.
it's even gonna affect the person who is having to, you know, tell the other person, I'm not really interested, you know, especially if you're considering their feelings and stuff. I think it's important to let people know, you know, if you prioritize things like kindness, if you prioritize things like empathy, and of course it's like sometimes you can have the kindest communication, the most compassionate, the best letdown, and the person is still on you like, hey, right? So it's like, how do you navigate those situations? Because then I'd be like, okay, maybe I need to escalate this. And I feel like it's okay to block people sometimes.
Yes,
I
yes.
think it's, okay to tell people, stop contacting me, because after a point it becomes harassment, right? So, yeah, that's me.
Okay, well, for me, I'm recently single, so I was in a 2-year relationship, but before that, I was like single for 6 years. So, and I would say this time around, even though it's only been like 2 months, 5 days.
Wow.
Yes, I'm
And how
counting.
many minutes?
I feel like I'm in Single People Anonymous, so you know, like today is my 2 month, 5 days back. So, but it's different this time around, and what I realized is that I had to do a lot more emotional growth. Like back then, you know, as I say, I would engage people I know I'm not interested in. I would go on dates I'm not interested in. Maybe I'm just hungry and I want to be just the ritual sushi.
It's valid.
You know?
Especially if you're a student. It's valid.
Right. But then after, I think when I entered the relationship that I did, I had reached a point where I felt like I was mentally ready to settle down. So it's like I'm at two different phases where, well, no, I'm at a different phase, sorry. So back then it was like I was dating to have fun. This time I'm dating with intention to meet like somebody who is serious. So it's a different dynamic for me. And to be honest, I would say I enjoy this dating period because I feel like I'm able to build genuine connections. Back then it's like I'm just trying to see somebody who could provide me with temporary comfort. Like, you know, we ain't got to do all of this nicey stuff. But no, it's like, you know, you actually learning to get to know somebody, appreciate them a bit more, is more emotional connection. So I would say this period is more fulfilling this time. You know, I haven't been on much dates, just a few. I find I have a lot of social media over the phone interactions, and that to me I kind of actually prefer because I feel like, you know, what a dating show on Netflix be? But
Love
like,
is Blind.
yes.
I didn't even finish, and I was like,
yes. I feel like I'm having that experience. So it's like you building the more emotional connection first, and I kind of feel like we're in the age of social media. So like, maybe you are able to fully be unguarded when you over the phone. You're able to share more things. So, you know, this dating experience is much better for me. You know, it's not like I'm rushing into things. I would say right now I haven't really, I can't say fully, but I haven't really like sexually engaged anybody. So it's nice. It's nice this time. You know, focus on building emotional connections. Don't try to be a savage, you know. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you mention the online or like over the phone talking to build the connection, because, you know, generally I think if you ask, I don't know what going on. I don't know what happens in Nevis. Even though I said dating St. Kitts Nevis, I don't really know what the dating scene like.
It's basically the same.
It's the same, okay.
But they don't say people in Nevis does get in relationships. They say, oh, if you want a man, go Nevis. But
I was watching a video today and the girl was like, y'all, if you want a cute guy, he's in Nevis. And I was like,
that's a lie, but Maybe because my ex
Interesting.
used to live near.
Oh, and I have an ex from Illinois. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, but I think it's just that if people don't got nothing to do, so it's like I might as well get in a relationship.
But isn't it the same for us?
No, we have way more activities.
And we'd still just get in relationships.
You think so?
Yeah, but I was going to say, like, it's interesting that you talk about, like, you know, building the connection online or over social media, because generally I think on the average person you ask here, like, do we date, they will probably be like, no, we don't really have a dating culture. But I remember, and I don't know what obtains really for younger people in the TikTok, Snapchat era, but in the MSN days, there used to be a lot of like talking to somebody online or talking to somebody on Facebook, writing on people's walls and so on, before eventually meeting up with them. So there was a lot of like building that connection without seeing the person, and then, you know, having it, I guess, culminate in this, oh wow, I see you. Even though sometimes like it would happen that like you would meet them first and then get their information and then talk to them online. And so it's I wonder if that is a version of dating that we do here, but because we don't see it, we don't count it. What do you think?
Okay, something came to my mind, not to stray too far off topic.
You can stray.
But
I love
I recently learned about streaks on Snapchat.
Streets?
So, yeah, so apparently it's this thing where you could keep up the count of your streaks based on how
streaks.
Based on how frequently you interact with someone. So, like, I guess it's an achievement or some kind of goal to like keep up multiple streaks with someone. And I remember like my little brother was saying, like, you know, your relationship with someone is done when the streaks is like non-existent. And I mean, it's this weird thing where like maybe they have some people who trying to keep up streaks just to keep up streaks, but then they have people who like, wow, I'm like really paying attention to this. Okay, now to get back to topic. I would say dating online, maybe we don't see it as that, but I think realistically, maybe a lot of people in St. Kitts and Nevis end up on these like social media online dates. Like you might be like, oh, let's do a video call. Yeah. So like the video call might be the date, because who knows, you might end up on like an hour-long video call with someone. So maybe in a way that could be a form of a date as well. Because honestly, there is not much option. I would say in St. Kitts, we don't provide a safe space for dating culture to exist. I think this is something that we spoke about, like, you know, off air. But you would find, if you go with somebody at a bar, people, you know, it's a small community. People going to see you with that person and they're going to be like, oh, he going with her, she going with him. And then let's say 3 weeks later you come to that bar with another person. They're like, oh, she was here with somebody else. Or she biting him. And it's like, maybe it's not even that. Maybe you're just genuinely trying to get to know somebody. And nothing is wrong in dating multiple people.
That ain't what's supposed to happen. That's what's supposed
but
to...
you see...
Okay, let me not say what's supposed to happen, but that's generally what happens when you're dating. When you're dating, is like you have options and you go with all of the options. You talk to all of the options to see which one feels like the best person for you. Like, that's dating.
Like, something just came to my mind. It's like, I think maybe for a lot of women, like, because they're not open to the idea of maybe dating multiple people, they might end up in a relationship with somebody who they realize they're not even matched.
Ding. That exact thought came to me earlier too. And I feel like that's how, because it's like we don't fall into relationships. It's like, once you spend your time talking to this person a lot, even if the conversations, you know, even if you haven't, because like if you like follow dating coaches and people like that and like relationship experts, they might talk to you about the key things that you need to, key topics you need, key conversations you need to have, you know, before deciding if this is your person. So you want to talk about things like values and see whether your values align, where y'all want to be in life, the kind of goals you have, and see if those are compatible. See if you're compatible in general. You might want to talk about sex and your attitudes towards sex. You might talk about children. Do you want to have children? Do you not want to have children? You know, different things. But sometimes it's like none of them conversations that happen, but because you just talk to this person a lot and every day is, hey, what you doing, baby, you know, and it's like you just fall into, I feel like a lot of us fall into relationships because it's like, I just spend so much time with the person anyways, I'll just talk to the person so much, are we done having sex, we done went out 3 times, so we might as well, you know, even if
right.
Yeah.
And then you end up in a relationship with a guy who ain't even enjoy his sex. But you're like,
Yeah.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
I might as well be here.
Or like you're in a relationship where it's like, yeah, you are committed to having children and the person is committed to not having children. So what you gonna do from there, you know? Or maybe it's like a religious, you know, reason. There's so many. The point is that, you know, there are things that you maybe have not talked about at all and things that you may have touched on and know that you have very opposite views on, and nobody is willing to compromise, and it's not something that's necessarily like you could have a middle ground position on, where like you could have half a child, you know. So it's like how you can say, okay, let's get a, you know, I don't know why I said that. Anyways, yeah, let's take a break right here and then we will come back and continue this conversation on dating in a small society. Stay tuned.
Moments for Mom is ZI's tribute to all mothers. Do you want to do something truly unforgettable for your mom this Mother's Day? Show her love like never before with a personal video tribute broadcast on ZIZ television. Come, step in front of our cameras and tell the world just how much she means to you. It's your chance to share your heart, your memories, and your love. She gave you the world. Now give her 30 seconds of pure joy and excitement. Moments for Mom, only on ZIZ. Limited spaces available. Book your tributes now. Give us a call at 465-2621 or email sales@zizonline.com.
She's my mother, and I love her so.
Welcome back to Pleasure Pulse. You're tuned in to your host Roma Richardson on ZIZ, on radio and on Facebook and YouTube. As I mentioned, you can't see us, but we're here and we're having a conversation on dating in small societies, or a small society like St. Kitts Nevis. And so we ended off talking about we ended up talking about.
Oh, I'm supposed to say?
Yeah, I forgot.
How about we just go to a different topic?
It's because I hear reading my questions. I threw myself. Yeah, but we have been talking about, like, you know, whether we could consider online connections and so on, dating. We talked about sometimes maybe falling into relationships because we're not able to date, you know, multiple people. Right. So it's like the first person that you go with, you feel like you have to stick with that person. Like, I feel like sometimes people feel like, you know, they have sex with one person, and because they want to keep their body count, quote unquote, low, they just continue having sex with that person, even though it's not fulfilling, it's not enjoyable, it's not pleasurable. The person doesn't listen to you when you voice your desires, concerns, and things like that. I don't believe in that. I don't even believe in counting. I'm like, you know, you just seek, because, like, you know, there are, of course, like, having sex, there is there are risks that come and consequences that come with anything, right? So having pleasurable sex and having sex with more than one person over your lifetime, like, it's okay, you know. It's about, you know, being prepared, having the information that you need, using whatever safer sex method works for you, and consistently and correctly and all of that. But anyways, that was also a side note, very drastic side note, but yeah, we are here talking about dating. So would you say that like that inability or the concern around dating multiple people and then people deciding that you are promiscuous or whatever because they see you with multiple people is the hardest part of dating in a small space?
To be honest, to be completely honest, that is part of it, yes. But I think we are transitioning to an era where women, you know, we have a bit more freedom now. It's like we have the Shenseas and the people I'm saying, like, you know, I could give it up if I want to, you know. So we kind of shifting from that, but there's still that, you know, chatter and stigma around somebody who is like openly dating multiple people. And I'm not saying that in the sense that you're having sex with multiple people. Even if you are, that is fine. But I would say it's shifting. For me, maybe the hardest part of dating is that realizing that some people, their intention might not be like what your intention is. Like, there are genuinely people who just trying to get to know you just to have sex with you. And if you are somebody who is genuinely trying to date people to make genuine connections, you could get hurt dating. Not for me, but, you know, I kind of feel...
Why you said that?
Why I said that is because I kind of feel like I've been single for 6 years before entering a relationship. So I kind of... I won't say I was one of those people, but it's like I'm up on game.
You learned, okay.
Right. I'm up on game with these people. So I could already see when you read into the bullshit and...
I don't know if you could say it when you don't say it. But how do you read through it? Because I think that is... And that's where, like, ghosting and stuff come in, too, because it's like... It's not like... You meet the person one day and then you have sex and then the next day they disappear, because that's kind of like, that's already a kind of one night stand. But it's like, is the person talking to you and behaving as if they're deeply interested in you, and then once you have sex they disappear?
Okay,
how do you see it?
This is what I feel. I think in dating, some people refuse to see the red flags. And there has to be, like, your own self-awareness and accountability. Because I'm sure in every breakup, in every ghosting, you could sit back and say, you know, I was seeing the red flags, but I kind of ignored it because, you know, I thought he was really attractive and he liked me. But it's like, you know, you just kind of have to be up on game. I don't know how to really explain the game, you know, but...
Without giving out your secrets. You can explain it to me after. Something recently. So I read a book recently. This is by Don Miguel Ruiz. He's the guy who wrote The Four Agreements. So this is a book I read recently, post-breakup. It's The Mastery of Love. And a lot of what he speaks about is self-love. Is also realizing people for who they are, not their potential, that you know, the fantasy that you create in your mind. Also not trying to pour into people, like, you know, focus on yourself. Like any relationship, and although it's more about relationship, I think it's also something to help people who entering back into the dating world. So you have to develop this sense of awareness
And going back to that point about self-love, because I think when people are dating, you're searching for love. But you have to understand you're not searching for love because, Lord, I need love, Lord,
Yeah,
I'm
because you are
lonely.
lacking. Yeah.
Right. You need to enter.
It's like addition.
Right. For me, I think, and even before I got into, my relationship that, I broke up, I did a lot of self work. That is where I really had to start addressing certain issues, like why is it that I'm dating people? Why is it that I'm having all these encounters? Is it because I'm searching for something? What is it I'm searching for? These are the conversations that you have to have with yourself, and that's why I say, like, with people, maybe you end up getting played because you feel like you need to pour more into that person. You felt like you didn't really love yourself enough, so you needed to love somebody to get that stimulation. So I think people really need to somewhat focus on themselves. Basically, in the book too, it's like a relationship shouldn't be like the person is, how can I say? It's like you're trying to be that person's partner or trying to change yourself to be that person's partner. You should try to find a partner that you just genuinely like them for who they are, whoever they are evolving to be. Like, it's just for them as a person, but you're not losing yourself in the process. And I think in this dating scene, like, it's very easy to lose yourself in it. Maybe that's why some people commit to people who they might not even be interested in, but it's like that person represents something that they want to be. So they try to focus most of their attention on that person and not really trying to be who they want to be.
Yeah, I hear that, because I think, and it's like, and I appreciate what you said about self-love and doing that work on yourself before and while, you're dating. So not abandoning your own self-work to focus on somebody else or the relationship. And I remember, I think it was Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. No, they were like, they work on their own happiness. Like, I work on myself and she works on herself. I am Will. And she works on herself, and like we come together as two worked on people, not like I trying to fix you and you trying to fix me or anything like that. But I remember, because I think it's also so, especially if you have been single for a while or if you have had a number of failed relationships, I think you can start to feel like I'm the common denominator, so it must be me. Like on the same Love is Blind, like the last season, one guy, every girl he met, the first date, he was like, so what's wrong with you? As a joke, but it was like not really a joke, because like people think that, right? And I remember like one relationship I was in, I was convinced that, okay, all my failed relationships, it was me. So I'm going to become whatever I need to be in this relationship for this other person so that it can succeed. It still failed because I was like, I can't keep this up because I am a particular kind of person and I can't take certain kinds of things. But it's like, we really do like be like clay, and like mold ourselves into different shapes, when it really should be like, there is somebody out there. I believe there is somebody out there for everybody. And it's like, you show up the person that you are, and you are going to find somebody who will love you as you are and all the versions of you. Because like them older couples too, them they'll be like, the secret to long relationships is loving each version of your partner, because people change over years, and so, and not like changing to suit your partner, but just like your own evolution as an individual autonomous human being. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay, what I was thinking is that, okay, you see, like how you said that, I guess in your past relationships you thought you were the problem and then you realized you weren't.
Well, men said I realized I wasn't.
Okay. Well,
I just realized the things that I was trying to change were things that were like very deeply me. So it's like, if you can accept, or if I feel like I can be that me with you, then you in for me and me in for you. So it's like, yeah, and of course, like some things I needed to work on for sure, but like sometimes the things that, you know, like for example, you could be the person who you hate washing dishes, and you're trying to wash dishes in this relationship, and it's just, but like there could be there's somebody out there who likes to wash dishes, and maybe that's your soulmate. You know, that was just an example, but you know what I mean. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. My mind kind of went blank.
Okay.
But I
have questions.
I'm thinking, like, dating is really a beautiful experience. That's the thought that came to my mind. As I said, right now I'm enjoying dating. Like this type of dating that I'm doing, I don't know if it's because I've entered in my 30s.
And you read that book.
And I read that book.
Have you read All About Love by Bella Hooks?
No.
I'll lend it to you.
Okay, I'll definitely read it. But I'm thinking, like, when we realize that, you know, this is not about surface level things. Like, you have to be comfortable with who you are as a person to really date somebody and be like, I'm comfortable with you, however you are, flaws and all, and you have to be comfortable with me, how I am, flaws and all. And I think that is what dating is about. Now you're trying to get to know the person to see if are his flaws or are her flaws something that I could put, or I won't necessarily say put up with, but does it goes against my values and principles to who I am as a person? Like you mentioned about washing dishes. Like for me, if I'm somebody who values having a partner who loves washing dishes, do not go and pick up somebody who doesn't like it. So it's just about that process. But okay, ask a question.
While you were talking about flaws and all, I was like, DJ, play Beyonce. I don't know why you love me, and that's why I love you. You know that song? Yeah, anyways, so, my questions. Do you think people, and these are like not related to they're related to the topic, but they don't build on, the thread that we're on right now. But do you think people recycle partners more in small communities? Absolutely.
Yes.
You have to.
I would say, okay, I'm not really against it. I'm not, because let's see, and you could have partners who you have a very healthy friends with benefit types relationship with. That does exist out there. So I'm not gonna knock it, because I know people who are in those type of situations. But then I don't know. I was just saying no. You were like no.
No, I said no, it's not for you.
Right.
Okay. I am definitely a spin block.
Oh, you mean like no, it's not for me if I wouldn't.
Oh yeah, what did you mean when you said no?
I don't see an issue.
Okay. And yes, you think it happens, and you don't see.
I mean, would you say it's a form of safe sex?
No.
Okay. I think there's this thing, right?
Oh, unless you mean safe, like I know this person, I'm comfortable with them, but not like contraception.
Okay,
not contraception, but like emotional safety. Yes, but that's not what you mean. No, because no, the only forms of safe sex are physical.
Okay, I think
safer sex are physical, tangible things.
I think there's this thing
in
that
your head.
People, me, think that, okay, if this is somebody and I know their health status and we have a relationship, friends with benefits type situation, that it kind of feels like a form of safe sex than entering a new sexual territory with somebody where, like, okay, yes, you could have the discussion about health and all of that, but you maybe don't have that full level of trust with them to really know what you're getting yourself into.
I hear that part because I know when I was living in the States, like I was single and I was on all the dating apps. But I couldn't bring myself to go out with anybody because I was like, I don't know these people from Adam. Like, I can't ask nobody about you. I don't know if the name you're telling me is even your real name.
Right.
So I feel like why I spin the block is that it's like I'm familiar with you. You know, I know you, you know me, not necessarily anything beyond that because it's like when we weren't doing anything, I don't know, you know, you were dealing with whoever, you could still be dealing with whoever, right? So I think I still always, you know, you still always have to protect yourselves in the ways that you can. But I hear you, and I feel like, you know, whatever works. No. So I when I'm not an idealist, I'm a realist. And I think that the tools that we have to keep people safe have to evolve because, you know, like what's out there to protect people doesn't match people's sexual practices in real life, you know? And it's like, as you say, you know, you're with somebody that you are committed to, or y'all come back together, and, you know, as far as both of you know, like, you are only dealing with each other. It should be, you know, a safe connection and safe environment. I think the thing is that, like, you just never really know.
Right.
For sure. So it's just that, you know, that bit of, I can't say for sure because, like, men with you, men falling in your own, you know, like men in your body and things like that. But anyways, yeah, I think people recycle partners more in small communities. I also think that partners can go around more in, you know, small societies. So the next question is like, do you think it's fair to date your friend's ex?
Okay.
And if yes, under what circumstances?
Okay. Let me think. I've been in situations where friends have dated my ex, or I have dated somebody's ex, but we have to look at the reality of the situation. We are in a very small community. So in your social group, more than likely the type of people who your friends are attracted to,
You might be, yeah.
right. So you would cross paths. But if I know my friend was in like a fully abusive relationship and
Yeah.
they come and they tell me all of it, but then there's a certain level of
And then
boundary.
you go date them.
Right. Okay. So
That's
I
like, remember we
wouldn't
were talking
do.
about pick-me's? Yeah.
I wouldn't do like somebody who they might have been in a full-on relationship. We have this thing like, oh, he used to trouble me. So if I know like, okay, it didn't pass too far, then I don't really, me
So
personally.
just like he used to try to talk to you, but nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really see anything wrong in that.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have had friends who, and I think I have maybe like once, but this is like, okay, one of the situations was like high school. So it was like your little boyfriend. So it's like, little boyfriend don't really count. You kind of expect that boy can date multiple you in the class because, and in my adulthood, you know, I had some friends, not like seriously date, but like talk to exes of mine during an activity. I try not to give too much details before I give it all up. No, it's like, I try not to, give too many details. But like they were just talking. So then it made me think, like, would I be comfortable with this if it were to become more than just like an isolated conversation? Because it's interesting because I think it's highly contextual, and I think I think it's also dependent on, like, do you think you should have a conversation with your friend about it? Like, tell your friend, hey, I know you and this person used to have something. We've started to talk and I'm really interested in them. What do you think?
Okay, for me, this is me personally, and I realize that I'm a different person. But when I detach from somebody, I detach
Fully
from
detach.
them. Once it's not somebody who obviously me and them was in a serious committed relationship for a very long time, and then my friend can just jump up 2 months after. I would be like, that's weird. But let's be real, like
No
if
convenience.
5 years, 6 years have
Yeah.
passed,
Yeah.
I would think it's weird of me to hold that against my friend. And let's be real, like, say kids, you gonna see guys who try talk to you, go try talk to your sister. Like, it's true. It happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I can't really like get too hung up on those things.
Yeah. I hear you, because even when, like, I was thinking about it, I was like I might have feelings in theory about this, but I would also not want to stand in the way of somebody else finding love if that's really what they want, or they want to try out or whatever, especially if I'm over here, like, you know, in a relationship myself, done find love, blah 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 blah. So it's like sometimes it's also about, like, we have these ideas in our heads of how things should go and how things should be, but the reality is very different, and the reality is the numbers are small here, the numbers of eligible, you know, partners even smaller. When I see somebody in my age group who I've never seen before, I'm like, where you come from? Because I feel like I know everybody in my age group, right? So it's like, it requires a lot more, I think, flexibility, and that does not mean, you know, date your friends partner well with your friend. Like, that's not what we're talking about here, because I see that happens too. That's not what we're talking about, and it doesn't mean plot for them to break up so that you could jump in and be like, it's my time now. This is not what we're talking about. But I think if there is, you know, if time has passed and there's a genuine connection, I would give it my blessing. Be like, yeah, go for it, cause everybody deserves to find love if that's what they're looking for, right? Yeah, I think everybody deserves to find love. Well, it is 8:58.
Really, we were talking for so long.
Yeah, and it's so amazing because this has just been I mean, that's why I asked you, because I was like, who's going to be able to have a really...
You know, we ain't even get to the point where we talk about the dating pool.
On Reddit is a septic tank, actually, because it is. And that's part 2.
Oh, well, we could never... I think we need a part 2.
Yeah,
we
let's do a part 2.
Next week?
Yeah, we could do it next week. Do you think we should invite a guy? No.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, yes.
No, I would really and truly like to see dating from a guy's perspective, because I would say we have more eligible females than we have more eligible males.
And it's not just here.
But I would just like to see if a man would agree with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'm down for the part 2.
Okay. So we will do part 2 next week, Tuesday. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's conversation. I did. Thank you to my guest who anonymously shared all of her...
You know what's the funny thing? I said I want to be anonymous, then I announced on my WhatsApp status, guess who's going to be our pleasurable? I don't know.
So you were not anonymous.
I guess... I mean, should I say that I work at this? It's like,
it doesn't.
It's like, it was weird of me. I was like, do I want my, you know, other coworkers to
hear that
about
you
my
date?
sex life?
Because all we talked about was dating. And if I could have Mr. Clark, who is behind the mic on the show, I would love that. I would love to have the chair. I would love to have the secretaries,
Well, we could
everybody.
We could
We
have,
got you,
like,
everybody.
Theo share dating.
Yeah.
The married life.
It's exactly
Right.
like, how do you get to that point? Because I don't know. I don't know. I have no experience. I
Right.
have no models. And I think we need more conversations with models for how to get to certain places.
Right.
Because I think that's another thing that we don't see enough. So here was my not really anonymous guest. She's now giving you all of her details. So now you know who she is. Surprise! Surprise, surprise. It's been a good conversation. And yeah, we will see you all for part 2. Of course, if you see me on the streets and you want to share like your dating experience, tell me about your dating life. I am open to hearing it because I want to hear like what's really going on. You know, what are other people's experiences? I know based on my short time, you know, dating. I know based on what people tell me, but I would love to hear more of those views, more of those perspectives, the struggles, the successes, all of those things. If you found love from a date. So thank you all for tuning in to Pleasure Pulse. You've been listening to us on ZIZ. As usual, I want to remind you that Pleasure Pulse is a safe, inclusive space where no conversation or no topic is too big or too small. As usual, I'm going to wish you a pleasurable evening and say good night here. Take care, y'all.